Welcome back to Brainy Bytes. Ready to absorb the knowledge that fuels top performers and makes you the sharpest mind in the room? They say the average CEO reads a book a week. Imagine having that power distilled for you. Stick with us for today's life-changing insights and hit subscribe and the bell so you never miss the wisdom to reach your peak potential. The power of positive thinking. Norman Vincent Peale, full summary. Are you often weighed down by worry, feelings of inadequacy, or a general sense of negativity? Do you wish you had more energy, confidence, and happiness in your life? Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's enormously influential classic, The Power of Positive Thinking, offers a timeless message of hope and practical guidance. It argues that you can fundamentally change your life by transforming your thoughts, powered by faith and consistent practice. Introduction. Today we explore the power of positive thinking. First published in 1952, this book by Dr. Peale, a minister with a deep understanding of human psychology, became a global phenomenon. Its central premise is straightforward, yet profound. Our thoughts shape our reality, and by consciously choosing positive thoughts, cultivating faith, and using practical mental techniques, we can overcome challenges, achieve goals, and live happier, more fulfilling lives. The book blends psychological principles with spiritual faith, primarily from a Christian perspective, but its core techniques for harnessing the mind's power can resonate widely. It's filled with inspiring anecdotes and step-by-step advice. This summary will cover the key principles and the types of methods Peale recommends for putting positive thinking into action. Principles and techniques. Dr. Peale lays out a practical philosophy built on several interconnected themes. Let's explore the main ones. Number 1. The foundation is believing. Peale powerfully argues for the necessity of believing in yourself. He addresses common feelings of inferiority and inadequacy, teaching that confidence isn't arrogance, but a humble reliance on a higher power working through you. Coupled with this is the principle to expect the best and get it. This involves cultivating an attitude of optimistic expectation, rooted in faith, which helps to attract positive outcomes. The techniques here revolve around using strong positive affirmations, often faith-based, like, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," or simply affirming your God-given abilities. It also involves vividly visualizing successful outcomes until they feel real and achievable in your mind. Number 2. Cultivating mind power through calm and energy. Peale emphasizes that a peaceful mind generates power. Inner turmoil drains effectiveness. He offers methods for achieving mental quietude, even amidst chaos. This inner calm is also directly linked to physical vitality. In How to Have Constant Energy, he explains how negative emotions like worry, resentment, and fear drain our energy, while positive, faith-filled thoughts can replenish it. The techniques include practices like mind-draining exercises to empty the mind of anxieties before sleep or important tasks, consciously filling the mind with peaceful thoughts and images, and repeating affirmations focused on calm and strength derived from faith. Number 3. Harnessing spiritual power through prayer. A central pillar of the book is Try Prayer Power. Peale presents prayer not just as asking for things, but as a practical, scientific method for tapping into a higher power. He believes prayer can provide guidance, solve complex problems, and bring about tangible results. He also emphasizes consistently drawing on a higher power, suggesting that self-reliance alone is insufficient. True strength comes from connecting with and relying on God or a universal divine energy. The techniques Peale describes involve specific methods of prayer, such as picturizing desired outcomes in prayer as if they are already happening, prayerizing your thoughts by constantly infusing them with faith, and practicing periods of quiet listening for divine guidance. Number 4. Mastering your emotions: happiness, worry, and anger. Peale teaches how to create your own happiness, framing happiness not as dependent on external conditions, but as an internal habit that can be cultivated through positive thinking, gratitude, and focusing on serving others. He directly tackles negative emotions too. In Stop Fuming and Fretting, he provides strategies for managing anger and irritation by developing patience and understanding. And crucially, he offers methods to break the worry habit. Worry is depicted as a destructive mental habit that can be overcome. The techniques include practicing gratitude daily, choosing happy thoughts, using specific anti-worry formulas like identifying the worst-case scenario, accepting it, then calmly improving upon it, employing the mind-draining techniques mentioned earlier, and actively displacing worry with thoughts of faith and positive expectancy. Number 5. Overcoming obstacles and failure. Life inevitably presents difficulties. Peale encourages readers to view obstacles not as insurmountable barriers, but as opportunities for growth and demonstrations of faith. He shares stories and principles for finding strength and solutions when faced with setbacks, embodying the idea that when God shuts a door, He opens a window. Failure is reframed as a stepping stone, not a final verdict. The techniques involve using faith-filled affirmations to bolster strength during trials, actively looking for the positive angle or lesson in difficulty, and praying confidently for solutions and guidance, believing that help is available. Real-world application: living a positive life. Applying. The power of positive thinking involves a conscious and consistent effort. Number 1. Cultivate strong belief. Actively work on building faith, both in your own potential and in a higher power that assists you. Combat feelings of inferiority. Number 2.
Brainy Bytes.
Practice positive mental habits. Make positive affirmations, optimistic expectations, and visualizing success part of your daily routine. Starve negative thoughts. Number 3. Utilize prayer actively. Treat prayer as a practical tool for connection, guidance, problem solving, and generating positive energy. Experiment with Peale's suggested methods. Number 4. Manage negative emotions proactively. Use the techniques described to drain worry, manage anger, and choose happiness intentionally. Don't let negativity take root. Number 5. Persist with faith. When facing challenges, apply these principles with persistence, trusting that positive thinking and faith can help you overcome or find a better path. I hope this exploration of Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's The Power of Positive Thinking leaves you feeling inspired and empowered. If it did, please show some love by hitting like and subscribe to join our Brainy Bytes community for more summaries of life-changing books. Want to help fuel future content like this? You can support the channel by buying me a coffee through the link below. It helps me dedicate more time to finding and summarizing these impactful ideas for you all. And speaking of impactful ideas, what classic self-help book or work on faith and mindset should I explore next? Let me know your suggestions in the comments. Your input drives the channel. Thanks for watching.